Hello, chiropractic friends. Okay, this is my first phone live. For whatever reason, my computer wasn't letting me go live in the group. So this is my first phone live recording. Hopefully you can see me and hear me. If you can, those that are watching live, go ahead and give me some thumbs up and hearts just so I know that we are rocking and rolling on the live view for Team Tip Tuesday. So most of you know me as the Team Tip Tuesday person, where I share, 3 tips to motivating your team, 3 tips to hiring, 3 tips to referral, 3 tips to firing, all these different things. Well, today I wanted to share with you a different type of topic that's really near and dear to my heart, and something that I work with my CAs on a lot to create personal breakthroughs that positively influence the practice. And this topic is the power of stories, the power of stories. And it's something that I've really been influenced with a lot in my life right now, present time. So I wrote something down for you guys I wanted to read. Decisions, not conditions, determine your destiny. Decisions, not conditions, determine your destiny. So whatever conditions you are living, whatever reality you're facing right now in your life, in your practice, in your relationships, in your family, like whatever area of life, in your business, whatever conditions you're facing or will be facing, those are not going to determine your destiny. It's your decisions that you make about those conditions and the stories that we tell ourselves. So we are, each and every one of us, are living out our story. We're living out our life story. And what's really interesting to me is the more I've had the opportunity to work with people, the more I'm able to see how each person's story massively influences the way that they live their life. So your story is unfolding no matter what, but you get to choose which character you play in your story. You get to choose if you're the David or the Goliath. You get to choose if you're the hero or the victim of your own story. That choice is up to you, regardless of the circumstances. So I found in working with people, there's a couple different types of stories that people live by. And you guys have seen this a lot with patients, right? Patients come in with their stories. I've always been like this. Well, everyone in my family has X, Y, and Z. It's a genetic thing, or, we're just big boned in our family. I have this, we just see this all the time, right? I am not very smart, or I'm terrible at choosing the right man to be in a relationship with. I'm terrible at this or that, or we don't do that in our family, or we're cheap. We have to, discuss every financial decision before we make it. Like, people have these stories, they have these rules they live by, and so do we. So today I want to encourage you guys to really look at and unveil your own stories, your rules that you live by, and get curious on where those stories came from. So for instance, one of the exercises I do with my CAs is we actually look for stories that play out in our lives, and then we decide where they came from. And in my experience, they typically come from one of 2 places. The first one is, it's a story that is not even our own story. It's a story that we've borrowed, or I like to say stolen, from someone from our past, a parent, a grandparent, someone typically from before the age of 7. We heard this story, whatever it is. Our families broke, we all die before the age of 80, cancer runs in our family. Whatever the story is, we hear it at a really young age. And then what happens is we take that on as our own story. And I see this a lot in families where stories have been passed down from generation to generation. It's not the sickness, it's not the disease, it's not the inability to do something, it's not the hindrance, it's the actual story. Then we believe it and then play that out as our reality. So if that's you, think of the things that you tell yourself all the time that might not really be serving you. I always run late. Who here has a problem always running a little bit late, 5 minutes late? And we're so attached, you'll notice with people that run late, they're so attached to that being who they are and part of who they are. And a lot of times that could just be because their parents ran late or a parent ran late. So looking at these types of stories and saying, hey, first of all, is that even my story? Or have I stolen that? And if it's not even your story, give it back. Like what I'll usually ask someone when they unveil this type of stories, I'll be like, how old are you? And let's say, for instance, they're 30, 40. Okay, you're 40 years old. Is it okay for you to still be living out your dad's story? So that's the first type. Do you have any stories that aren't serving you? If so, ask yourself, is this even my story, or did I steal that? Did I borrow that from somebody and take it on as my own? If so, I'm going to make the decision today to give that back. Gift back the stories to your ancestors that are no longer serving you. Let it end here. We've all heard of like the generational curse, right? Let it end here with you. And you choose what's your new story moving forward. Maybe everybody in my family gets healthier and stronger when we age. Whatever it is for you. I'm always on time because I value time. So what's going to be your new story? Now, the second kind of story, these ones are really unfortunate. I found that these happen when people go through a time of trauma. And when we go through these times of trauma, we make decisions that will protect ourselves during that particular time of trauma. So we'll make a decision in that moment of intensity. Our body goes into fight or flight, and we make a decision, a story about ourselves or who we are or what we do, right? We make that decision in that moment to protect ourselves. And it's actually a really brilliant thing that our mind has the ability to do. It's a brilliant thing that we can do to get through some of the toughest challenges that life can offer us. We survive through them because we have this ability to do this. So, but here's what happens. People make decisions in these times of trauma. Maybe it's like, I will never trust again. Maybe it's not big trauma. Maybe it's little trauma. Maybe it's, we're just not going to see students anymore, or no more veterans, whatever it is. But like, you have a bad experience, you have a time of trauma, anything from someone cuts you off in traffic and your heart beats a little faster to some of the most severe traumas that human beings experience, and anything in between. We make decisions and create stories about our identity and who we are in those times. And then what happens for most of us is we step out of the dangerous moment. We step out of the time of trauma, and we continue to live out that new story. Whatever the decision was in that moment, maybe it's I'll never trust again, I'll never love again, whatever it is. We make the decision, we step out of the time of trauma, but we're still living in that fight or flight decision or story that we made. And you guys see this a lot with patients, a lot, all the time, every day, with those new patients that come in. So what do we do? What do we do? What do you do if that's you? So some of you watching this have already identified something that you tell yourself all the time that was a decision that you made in a time of trauma. That's what we're looking for. So if that's you, what do you do? Well, first of all, is that decision serving you any longer? And if it's not serving you all the time, right, then you get to choose, you get to make a decision to create a new story. Delete and scramble the old story and create a new story. Some really cool exercises that I bring my teams through to be able to do this. So if anybody needs extra help or support on this and wanted to work on one-on-one, I would be happy to do that to help you delete, scramble old stories and create new empowering ones. But you can also do this yourself right now here while watching this live. So what'll happen sometimes is we get so attached to these stories as part of our identity that they're hard to let go because we're so used to it, even if they're causing massive pain, even if they've hurt relationships, even if they've cost us financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So I have something written down here for you guys. The story that protects you is also the story that imprisons your life. So if you were listening to me a moment ago and you thought of a story and you're like, but that story protects me or it keeps me safe, now I'll never get hurt again in this area of life, isn't it true that that story is also the story that imprisons your life from being free and vibrant and living to the fullest? So that's really what I wanted to share with you guys today, more in hopes of sparking curiosity for you to start identifying your own stories and also the stories that you see patients and hear patients say. So you'll notice now that just even because the concept of stories that serve us or don't serve us are on our mind, what you're gonna notice moving forward in your day and your week and your month is you're gonna hear stories all around all the time. Patients are gonna come in with their stories, and you're gonna hear those things. You're gonna hear yourself tell yourself stories, usually excuses, right? Why something's not working or how something should be better. And that's where you can simply ask, is this story serving me anymore? If not, I always have the decision to choose a different story. Even if my story is true. So here's the really important part that I teach my CAs is your story could be true. The story that's hurting you and harming you, it could be totally true. It could be reality. However, is focusing on that story that is hurting you really serving you? So that's when I ask my CAs to ask, what's a story that's even more true? Okay, this story is true, right? What's a story that's even more true than that? What could I believe in even more? That I was created for a purpose. I was created for a reason. Maybe the story is I'm not good enough. I have a learning disability. I really can't do this front desk job. I'm learning at a slower rate than everybody else. Maybe that's true, right? But what's going to serve you more? What's a story that's more true? Maybe I'm on a purpose. I'm on a mission to save and change lives. Everything that I've done, everything that I've been through was to prepare me for this moment now, this job at the front desk. Every step that I've taken has guided me to this particular job, this particular moment, and I'm supposed to be here. This is a divine intervention, a moment throughout history that I am supposed to be here thriving in this role. If that patient asks me a question or has an objection or has an issue, maybe it's true what they're saying. Maybe it really is a problem, but there's a reason why they came to you, because you have everything that you need inside of you to be able to help empower that patient, to help answer that question or find the resources, find the ability, whether you feel like it or not. It's there. It's inside of you, even on the days when you don't feel like it. Okay? So start keeping an eye out for your story. Your stories that you tell yourself, are they serving you? What stories are more true or going to serve you better that you can replace the old stories with? Remember that you are the character of your story. You're the character of your life story, so you get to choose what character you are. Are you the villain? Are you the hero? Are you the side character? Who are you going to be in your own story? Decide that and move forward with that today. Love you guys. You're the best. Reach out if you need anything. I'm here to love and support you.